How unusual was the magnitude of this loss?
The answer is very unusual. Usually even 2 or 3 times this measure would be considered unusual. A 12 times loss, what we're looking at here is the value at risk measure, known as VAR. And it was very outsized, so much so that regulators did ask questions about it, including the Federal Reserve. So it was outsized. However, it was offset in different parts of the bank, according to people familiar with the matter.
This would be alarming with any bank, but Deutsche Bank has a history here. I mean, they already were on a watch list from the Fed for about a year or so. The FDIC has put them on the list. This has got to raise questions in regulators' mind about whether they're controlling their shop.
It's certainly a question about what they're controlling internally, but even beyond that, it's harder even for U.S. regulators because they only have one part of the whole picture. So if you're a U.S. regulator and you're looking at Deutsche Bank, all you can really see is what's happening in the U.S. operations, which is the problem with this 12 times VAR figure.
So we're about to get results of the stress tests, the quantitative results, this afternoon, and Deutsche Bank's U.S. subsidiary is part of that. Will that be included in the stress tests? We're
looking at this tomorrow, really, for Deutsche Bank, and so we have a lot of questions about, what it'll look like. I mean, this, operational risk is part of all of the equation. Operational risk is certainly something what the Fed is looking at, and whether this was operational risk or whether it was an issue with hedging, there's questions about what this actually was, right? We say it raises questions, but all we know is that there was this outsized day that was 2, 3, 4 times bigger than anything we've ever seen.
So what is the significance of this when we're trying to just sort of get a glimpse onto their trading exposure here?
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. U.S. regulators can only see one part of the book. So the fact that they had this outsized trading day that was potentially offset elsewhere in the bank, what risk is happening in the U.S. and what risk is being taken abroad. And at the end of the day, as the bank restructures operations, what does that mean for its U.S. operation and what kind of risk?
Yeah, so we know that Deutsche Bank has a lot of problems. How are they doing? How's their U.S. business doing right now?
Right now, it is a very confusing time for Deutsche Bank because they are retrenching their U.S. investment bank. However, even yesterday, for example, we wrote that they laid off 5 emerging markets traders. So in fits and starts, we're seeing different parts of the bank being let go and being reshaped and reshuffled. And some of it is intentional, and some of it is certainly not, as some of their top stars have been leaving.